Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. So today is the first episode of my new series called Storyline. In this storyline I'm going to tell you a story about different characters or wars or laws about World of Warcraft, or you can just say the Warcraft universe. Today's episode I'm thinking about honoring the good old war chief Thrall, or also called by birth name Thrall. So, if you don't know much about Thrall, or you're just looking for a nice Nightbed story, well, you came to the correct place. So, let's talk a bit about Thrall. So, Thrall, birth name Thrall, son of Durotan and Drakar, is the former war chief of the restored shamanistic horde, founder of the nations of Durotar in Kalimdor and one of the second wave of shamans. His parent killed by Gul'dan's assassins shortly after his birth in the beginning of the First War. He was found and raised by Adela's Blackmore, who gave Thrall his name. Raised as a slave and a gladiator, he later joined Ogrim Doomhammer in freeing the orcs imprisoned after the Second War, being named War Chief after Doomhammer's death. After leading the Horde away from the Alliance-claimed Eastern Kingdom, he rescued and made allies of the Darkspear Trolls and Bloodhoof Tyrants. Thrall led the new Hordes against their former demonic masters in Battle of Mount Hyjal. He subsequently led diplomatic efforts at peace between the Horde and the Alliance after the end of the Third War. After the fall of the Lich King and the increasing elemental unrest heralding in the Cataclysm, Thrall stepped down as a leader of the Horde, appointed Garrosh Hellscream as war chief, and joined the shamanistic Earthen Ring to combat the rampaging elements, eventually aiding the aspects in Deathwing's downfall. With his victory over the corrupted aspects behind him, Thrall had been forced to deal with the chaos of his replacement had sown in his wake. The Pandaria campaign clearly demonstrated Garrosh's unforeseeable madness and pride. Leading to decisions within the Horde itself, Thrall stepped back in to defend the Horde and its allies from the increasingly ruthless dictator. Together with Vol'jin and other disenfranchised leaders of the Horde, Thrall overthrew his ill-fated successor in the Siege of Orgrimmar. After Garrosh captured, Thrall personally chose Vol'jin to hold the Horde together and pledge his allegiance to him. Along with the remaining leaders of the faction, his mate Agra also gave birth to a son named Durak. During the war in Draenor, Thrall was a key member of the Horde expedition to alternate version of the Orcish homeworld Draenor. In addition to aiding in many key battles, he met and befriended his parent of that timeline and made allies of the Frostwolf Orcs. Knowing that Garrosh was responsible for the events in the alternate Draenor, Thrall pursued him and was ultimately successful in killing Garrosh in their final Mag'gora. Eventually, the weight of all the war he had fought began to weigh more heavily upon the former war chief, and Thrall's own ability and resolve eventually began to waver. During the Burning Legion's latest invasion of Azeroth, he passed both the Doomhammer and mantle of the leader of the Earthen Ring down to a shaman adventure, knowing the future was now in safer hands. So by saying that, we are now talking about Thrall, the Earth Warder, the Earthbinder, World Shaman, son of Durotan, Warchief of the Horde, formerly, chieftain of the Frostwolf clan, formerly, and leader of the Earthen Ring, formerly. Thrall also said once, very wisely, but the beginning of wisdom in the statement, I do not know. The person who cannot make that statement is one who never will learn anything, and I have prided myself on my ability to learn. So with that he means, I do not know. He means that if you never tell people that you don't know and you need to learn, you will never learn anything. It's like regret, and you will never learn it. So by saying that, we now have a very, very good understanding of who is Thrall and what have he actually been doing through his life. I would like to take the next chapter of this story here and talk about his birth. Or you can say his young youth. What have he actually been doing since he was born? Goal and Thrall, the same person, just his birth name, is the son of Durotan, former chieftain of the Frostwolf clan and Drakar. He was born in the year 1 in the new home in the Aldrich Mountains. Soon after the birth, Drakar and the child accompanied Durotan to a secret meeting with Ogrim Doomhammer in Loch Modan. While in Loch Modan, Durotan warned Ogrim about treachery of the warlord Gul'dan and his shadow consul, who used the Orcish race as a vessel to their ambition for power. Soon after, Durotan and his family were escorted by Ogrim personal bodyguards on their way home to the north, when in the truth the guards were actually assassins loyal to Gul'dan, and brutally murdered Durotan and Drakar while leaving the infant Goal to die helplessly in the wilderness. Goal was found amongst the bloody bodies of his murdered parents somewhere in the north of Loch Modan by Aedelas Blackmore, commander on the interment camps which held orcs after the end of Second War. Blackmore gave him the name Thrall, which was another word for slave in the human tongue, which would cling to the orcs for the remainder of his life. Blackmore returned to his fortress Durnhold Keep with Thrall and raised him as a gladiator, with all the savagery of an orc, but with the keen strategic intelligence of a human. He was trained and taught by many, wet nursed by a human woman, and grew to befriend her daughter Taratan Foxton. Thrall proved to be an excellent student and phenomenal fighter. Thrall became a gladiator in Durnhold's arena and Aedelas' source of money. During the encounter in the arena, Prince Arthur's Menethil visited Durnhold Keep in order to watch Thrall in a fight. Thrall's fight encounters with other orcs was while training with surgeons and several trainees at Durnhold. A cart of captured orcs was moving through Durnhold at the time to be kept within the camps, and one who saw Thrall believed, rather than it being a training exercise, he was being ganged up on by humans. The orc broke free of his chains and moved to save Thrall, yelling at him in Orcish to run away, but all the time Thrall did not understand any language except Common, and so on. He had no idea what his would-be savior was shouting. The orc was beaten and killed right before young Thrall's eyes. He was clever, quick, and enormous, even by orc standards. Blackmore's abusive beating both in and out of the ring began to take its toll. Tarata began to write him letters and secretly delivered them to him in his cage within books. And he wrote back to her. Eventually he wrote to Tarata that he wished to escape. Following a series of fights where he fought bravely but did not finish the last round, and was consequently physically punished by Aedalas. Tarata created a diversion inside Durnhold Keep, which allowed Thrall to escape from his cell unnoticed. They made up outside the fortress by a cave, and Tarata gave him provisions and supplies. He then left Durnhold, hoping to never return. Thrall was captured and taken to intimate camp run by one luring Rimka. It was here that he met an old orc with glowing red eyes named Kelgar, who told him of the corruption of Gul'dan, and how the old ways had been so much better for the Horde. He told him that the only one still thinking of embracing this was the undefeated Gromhelscream, chieftain of the Warzone clan. When another orc told Thrall that Blackmore had arrived at the camp looking for him, Thrall escaped again and sought out Gromhelscream. So by saying that, we have now heard about who is Thrall actually, from like a main perspective, and about, you can say, his birth and what he has been doing in his young days. So you can say this is a chapter 1 on Thrall's life and story. And more will be coming up. So, if you're still listening to this storytelling, thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. And leave down a comment if this storytelling was something for you. I would like to know, is this something you would like to hear more of? I have no problems actually making episodes that it will be 1 hour long. So it's like a reading, or you can a listen book. So leave down a feedback and tell me, did you enjoy this episode? And I will happily do more of this and make sure they will be longer. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. This episode is both on YouTube and SoundCloud. So thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next video or storytelling. Peace out and have a very nice day.